happens with Bitcoin? Is the SEC going to sign off on a Bitcoin ETF, you think?
I think approval is inevitable.
Imminently?
And I think there's nothing left to decide.
I know.
And I credit the SEC for where they are. Where are we? We're comfortable with the disclosure. Joe just went through the cost of investing in a Bitcoin ETF. People need to know what the cost of doing it is. They need to know, about the underlying Bitcoin market. Is the Bitcoin underlying trading market something that is what I would say is robust enough, efficacious enough, where you can rely on it? It is much better today than it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, there was wash sales, there was laddering, there was all sorts of things that you wouldn't want to make available to the general public because of that risk. And the last thing, I think this is missed, is the technology to actually provide the product, the custodying, the create, the redeem. This is a big step, not just for Bitcoin, but for finance generally. If you can digitize, tokenize underlying assets and trade that way, that's a potential significant change across finance, not just in the crypto space.
But you think Bitcoin ETF approval is coming and imminent?
Yeah, well? I do. Yeah. I could be wrong, but that's what I think.
Your opinion matters, former SEC chairman.
I don't like what's happened. And then when you abuse DEI, then you set back the movement, and we still know where we need to be. S&P CEOs, board members, and people of color that represent. We've got miles to go, but this casts a pall the way that it was administered. We can't ignore that we need to have a lot more work to do.
Well, I think that's where you have to start, Joe. We have miles to go. But let me recognize we have miles to go. We still have problems. Anybody who says that they don't see bias in society doesn't have their eyes.
Old boy network, and all that stuff.
Absolutely, I've seen it in every organization I've been. Now, lesser and more people making improvements. But let me give the American people some credit here. If you travel the world, there's no country that is trying to assimilate, respect, provide for more different cultures, religions, and the like than the United States.
Well, we do think the probability is very high that that Bitcoin ETFs will be approved this week. And the reason, as we've been saying, is, the SEC actually, after, denying a number of times, started asking questions, very good questions, very detailed questions, very technical questions. So I think they've asked all the questions they need answered, and I think most of us have probably been a part of that process. So many people are expecting now a sell on the news that we might not have a sell on the news because, once you hear that enough, the positioning's already taking place. So who knows? It's a very short term. All we know is with our 5-year investment time horizon, we think the flows into this new asset class, especially institutional flows, but also retail flows. Retail has led the charge, of course, that they're going to be quite substantial. And it won't take much of an allocation by institutions into Bitcoin to drive what is becoming a scarce asset much higher. So on Coinbase, it was up 400% last year, and we as we do normally, and you've seen us trading around Tesla, now trading around Coinbase, a lot of good news. It became the largest stock in our flagship portfolio. In terms of Bitcoin, we think we've got 3 very big reasons for it to continue to move higher. One, it is digital gold, and gold is a $12 trillion asset. I think Bitcoin might be up to 800 billion right now. So we do think there is some substitution taking place. And the institutional flows, if the allocations were as little as 2.5% to 5%, which is where we think they will end up, you'll see 0.5 and then 1%, you'll see a legging in. That could be the biggest reason for a Bitcoin to go up because, we're at 19.5 million Bitcoin outstanding already. 15 million roughly are in long-term hands. They haven't moved their Bitcoin in more than 155 days. And therefore, we know we're only going to 21 million units ever. So this indeed, from 19.5 to 21 million, is becoming a scarce asset.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And yes, we have Jay Clayton says the spot Bitcoin ETF is inevitable, but I could be wrong. Yes, you heard that correct. He made sure he threw that in there. We know they're going to be playing the Hegelian dialectic. And Kathy Woods also say that it's going to be approved this week, which they should already know whether it's going to be approved or not. And we know they do. Remember, guys, you're just watching a movie. But if the Bitcoin ETF does get approved, no, people are definitely not going to sell on the news because you're going to have a lot of initial flows coming in. After those initial flows come in, of course, the big investors are going to be creeping out, but that's going to leave the retail investor that's chasing, holding the bag. Guys, we've seen this movie before. But if the Bitcoin spot ETF is approved, we're going to have billions of dollars come in, and it's going to be a quick flow. And then we have Elon Musk. The mainstream media is pushing that he likes to get high. And guys, we know what they want. They want him to get on that high horse and ride off in the sun. Because Elon Musk has definitely done his job. So I would not be surprised if Elon Musk gets the opportunity to leave next year in 2025. Because we know the United States flipped the switch on the fourth industrial revolution. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows, when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Some executives and board members at Elon Musk's companies are persistently concerned about his drug use. Musk has previously smoked marijuana in public and on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he has said that he has a prescription for ketamine. The Journal report cites people who have witnessed Mr. Musk's alleged drug use and others who have knowledge of it as saying that Musk has used LSD, cocaine, ecstasy, and psychedelic mushrooms, often at parties, private parties around the world. An attorney for Musk told the Journal that Mr. Musk is regularly and randomly tested at SpaceX and has never failed a test. The Journal report says board members at Tesla have spoken to each other about their concerns but haven't said anything formal that would end up in meeting minutes. But among the concerns, you might think, well, it's private, right? Well, if it's illegal drug use could violate federal contracts and would also break company policies. You did have an opportunity to do all this in college, like most of us. I don't see why he would still...
When I first heard it, I thought, what drugs are still illegal? You walk down the street in New York City and you get a contact high anywhere you go. I can understand the key man theory.
Yeah.
Because these companies, both SpaceX and Tesla, are entirely dependent on Elon Musk still being there. Even Ron Barron has told us that, one of his most fervent defenders, a huge long-term bullish investor.
Mm-hmm.
Going to a different economy. And we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, And then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just the poor auction.